Alright guys, so we're doing another build today. Gonna be putting it in that Okanos Cypress case that I had done a YouTube short about, I think a week ago maybe. Power supply, we're gonna be using this 650 watt gold from Sigotep. This Orico 1TB NVMe, it's on sale on Amazon for like $44, something like that. Trying out this Thermalright Frozen Prison 240mm AIO with 8 ARGB fans, and the star of the build right here is going to be this B580 Limited Edition that I picked up last week. And for the motherboard, we're going to be using this Z790 ASRock, Z790C, and then for the RAM using 32 gigabytes DDR5 from G.Skill, the 6000 megahertz variety, and then for the CPU I'm using a 13700. One thing I will say about the Thermalright though is that the bags were labeled nicely, so that's usually one of my pet peeves is, I have to figure out which one's which for as far as the tooling goes for AMD versus Intel, and it installed pretty easily. For that Orico NVMe, it's actually pretty nice. It's still PCIe 3.0, but it does come with that heatsink, this one right here. So that should help if you have a motherboard that doesn't have some sort of integrated heatsink. Everything else, though, this motherboard's pretty easy to work with here. It's got a built-in rear I/O plate, and the majority of this stuff I actually picked up on Amazon. But this motherboard I actually got for, I think it was like $40 or something like that, in a big bundle deal that I did with someone I purchased from locally. So just taking a closer look here at the Okanos case. It's got that nice wooden panel in the front. Nice I/O in the front. It's got 2 USB 3.0s as well as a Type-C. Also a reset button. Looking in the inside of the front, the main body here, it's got 4 ARGB fans. Very nice. Got a little light there. Like I was saying, they're all ARGB. Lots of space. Wondering if I'm going to have enough room here for my AIO. The stands being this close to the ceiling, but we shall find out. Actually, it looks pretty wide enough that I should be able to clear that. And then jumping around the rear here, pretty standard. Not too much space though between the panel, and that means I actually have to pay attention to cable management. Jumping around the basement, we'll have to see if I can fit the PSU there. Luckily, it's pretty small, but I don't think you're going to be fitting any large, 1,000 watt power supplies in this very easily without removing this hard drive case, which I guess isn't a problem. Most people don't use hard drives anymore anyway, at least not in non-budget builds. And it does look like there is an ARGB controller here. Good, very good. And jumping up here, the channel raceway. It's not too much space, but again, it's just gonna have to. You're just gonna have to do some good cable management. Shouldn't be a problem. And then here's the bell of the ball here, the B580 Limited Edition. I think that should contrast nicely on this motherboard. And just kind of seeing how this is gonna look in here. Let's flip this around. That should fit nicely. Very nice color contrast. I think it's gonna look nice. So let's take this out and let's start building. Alright, gonna assemble this, and I'm not gonna show the whole build as this is not a build video. But if I run into any issues or anything like that, I'll be sure to notate that. So far so good. Some things I'm noticing though is normally there should be like another cutout over here just to be able to route these cables through pretty easily, but I'm not seeing that, so I'm gonna have to most likely run them across here out that way, and it might be a little bit distracting, but we'll see how that looks. Coming around the back, Yeah, there's not a lot of cable management space. That's also something I'm not liking so far, but it's manageable. So let's finish this out. Well, this is annoying. I'm trying to install this AIO, and unfortunately, the VRM heatsink of the motherboard is causing a clearance issue here. So I'm probably gonna have to go with an air cooler on this one, unfortunately. Disappointing, but it is what it is. Yeah, so I thought about moving the 240mm from the top to the front, and I thought it would just look stupid with just 2 fans over there, or 2 fans on radiator and 1 on the bottom. So I think I'm just going to swap out for this Thermalright Assassin X120 and just go air cooling on this one. So we'll see what that looks like. That'll do. That'll do. So finished building, and you know, for the most part, it was a pretty good experience. Aside from the AIO issue, you know, it's partly my fault. I probably should have checked the top clearance to make sure it's compatible. I mean, realistically, I could have gotten a 360mm AIO, but just didn't have that on hand to put at the front. So, you know, around the side, my previous worry was the cable management on the back panel, and yeah, it wasn't too bad. It just had to make you really pay attention and be really neat with the cable management in order to be able to close the panel. But everything else came out pretty good, I think. So let's boot this up and see how it looks. All right, it's that moment. Let's see if it posts. All right. All the fans are turning on and everything. That's a good sign. And let's see as it goes through the boot lights there. Uh-oh. It's taking a long time. Okay, it's moving. Scared me there for a second. And we got a post. I guess maybe it was memory training or something like that, but yeah, we'll go through here, put all the settings, windows up, drivers, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we have all our drivers installed. Got the Intel graphics software up and ready to go. Let's see right here, B580 with resizable bar, the 13700T. And for those that you don't know, a 13700T variant is basically just a lower power, more efficient version of the aforementioned CPU, like the 13700 by itself. So just going through the graphics over here. I'm just going to leave these at standard, not really mess up with anything, and see how that runs. Alright, so everything's looking good. We got 32 gigabytes of DDR5 at 6000 megatransfers. The 13700T is performing nicely over here. Got our 1 terabyte Oracle NVMe, and our Intel Arc graphics for B580 is also showing nicely. So we're just going to run it through superposition real quick, and we'll see how it does numerically. Alright, so I finished the benchmark and scored 22,023. And if you recall any of my other benchmark videos, this is pretty much in between a 3060 Ti and a 3070. And if you recall any recent benchmarks of, like, let's say the 4060, it's generally a little bit better than the 4060. So again, with that B580, you got to factor in that it's brand new. It's got new driver support and everything, and its MSRP is $250 versus a 4060, which is usually between $300 and $350 bucks. So I do think it's performing pretty nicely, and you know, it's a good value proposition still for the B580. As far as this whole build goes, some things to keep in mind is if you are more of an AIO guy or girl, definitely get a 360. It's just going to look weird with 240 millimeters instead of 360. You're just going to be missing out on that space right there. And then you could probably just move the fans up there. I mean, it's got great fan support up there, but as you can see, any motherboard that has any type of VRM heatsink is most likely going to cause some issues with trying to fit in the radiator and the fans together. So that being said, you know, I do like this case. It's very compact, very sleek, and aside from the clearance issues that I had, it's a pretty good build. So yeah, guys, that's it for this one. I'll catch you later.